I want to contact the energy for this afternoon. Very good. So you can stretch up your, this is a nice afternoon. Excellent celebration. Why are we celebrating? Because we are together, ready to share some information that might be helpful for us as teachers. So how many of you want to know the best practices for remote classes? Remote classes are so interesting now, but at first, who thought that they were going to be that interesting? It was through some knowledge that you acquired and practice it, and you became masters of some activities. Isn't that right? You are masters of some activities. So let me share with you some information that I prepared for today. Well, this is the banner. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sharing anything. Wait a minute.
No, you're not sharing.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm sharing. Very good. Great. Little bit of this. Okay. That's it. Let me go on with this. Interesting. Oh, all right. So that is the banner that you saw, and probably you found interesting that about this best remote teaching practices. Okay, I think my internet is unstable. I had a message of it. Well, I hope it will last until the the last minute of the presentation. All right, I have to pray the Lord for this, for my internet not to be unstable. Anyway, well, the first thing we need to know is something like there's plenty of distance teaching tips. Okay, tips, recommendations, some helpful advice, tricks, and tools out there provided by online universities, colleges, and course instructors. But one vital question remains for those of us whose natural habitat is the classroom. What is that question? See? The question is, how do I get my students to actually do the work I want them to do? How? How can I involve them? Because the magic thing is this. Only one answer. Motivation. If we can get our students excited to log on and learn each day, productivity and progress will follow. Now, let me share with you 5 ways to get your students excited and motivated with distance learning before going on to the activities itself that I prepared for today for you. Some of the activities you might know, some others probably you didn't use. But but the main thing that I consider is we need to work on emotions in motivation, because you know the word that we use. We do teachers use a word which is rapport. The rapport is the connection that we need to have with our students. We have to be in tune all the time. From the beginning of your class until the end of your class, how do you start your lessons? What is the first word that you say to your students? You just say, hello, how are you doing? Or you start by doing something like I did today with you all. Some music, something that they can move, something that they can called their attention. Then we have to motivate with goal setting. Goal setting, very important, because the goal is the objective. We need to have a goal. We need to know where we are going to be at the end of our lesson, at the end of the class, where the students are going to be. Are they going to be with us? Were they with us as teachers during the whole class? So goals are a critical component of distance learning. How many of you think that? A critical component on distance learning. So this is why critical, because sometimes in your lesson plan you have a goal that not all of your students might get at the end of your lesson, but you try hard, you struggle to get that goal, for them to get that goal. But you have to work little by little with each one of your students, which is, it becomes hard in this remote situation. How can you get the slow students be connected with what you are doing and they do not get lost? And one thing is that goals motivate by letting students know exactly what it is they need to do for learning to occur. So what they really need to do for learning to occur. So they have to become aware that they need to make things happen. They need to produce the language they are learning. We start by setting the whole class goals that mirror the basic expectations of the classroom. Basic expectations. So that is the whole class goals. As I said before, all the students need to be connected. You cannot leave a student behind. So what could you do? That the students' learning process have a rhythm. The rhythm of the way they learn. That's it. We know that. Since you know your students are not new all the time. You have a first day of class. You are assigned to be in charge of a course. You have the first day of class, the second day, that's it. That's it. The more you get together with them, the more you know about them. So it is important to know not only that they are your students, but you need to know vital information about their context, family context as well, which is important because we are working on emotions. Goals provide a soft entry to individual goal setting while also maintaining the structure of learning as your students know it. So soft entry, yes. That's why you start the process. Soft, not rough or rude or tough. Let me share some examples. And we see completing a certain amount of assigned activities each week, right? So you have to make the arrangements to have these activities in every week. It depends on how many hours do you have per week, right? How many academic hours do you have per week? So according to that, you can organize these activities. Accessing all posted lesson content and providing a brief summary of understanding. Yes, which is important. A brief summary of understanding. because we need to check how well they understand. It's important. Students' goals then might be achieving a weekly certificate for 1,000 points. For example, how you can get your students be connected with you during a process to get results, to get good outcomes. You can have like a chart with the name of the students, and to get them, to give them certain points for every participation they have until 1,000 points, that you get the bonus points. And it is good because, okay, I already have 40 points. I have 50 points. I have, yes. And you try all of them, go not in the same rhythm, but get together, getting points. So in every class, all of them get points. Completing a set amount of lessons per week, yes. It's according to how much you need to get in advance. And that is set up by the course book you use. According to the course book, according to what you need to get every term, every semester, or every bimester. Yes, and you plan you plan your lessons according to that. Setting a new personal best with points earned. Yes, again, it's like you give the motivation for them to who gets the maximum points in a day, for example, in a day of class. Such specific and attainable goals give students a reason to engage with the distant learning process. Yes, it's a way to have them with you, no matter the distance, no matter that they are behind the screen. And the question is, how could you see if they understand or not? Because they have the cameras off. Not all of the students like to have the camera on. I would like to you participate in the chat if you, every class, successfully get all your students with cameras on, not because it's the schools or the university policy. It means that they are not forced to turn on their cameras. They are invited to turn on their cameras. They feel that they need to have their cameras on. How many of you get this important achievement with all of your students in every class? Huh? I don't see any answers on the chat box. Okay. I figured it out, and I know that it's something really, really hard to do, but not impossible. So we need to know that they're no longer feeling lost or wrong on the wrong side of the screen, but logging on each day with a clear objective and sense of purpose. The sense of purpose. How many of you have a purpose of life? Are you motivated to keep on living? Sure. So for everything you do, you need to be motivated. What is the motivation? Is the motion, is the interest about something. you can get the interest on something by the title. For example, a movie, a film, a book, but the title of the book, it can hold your attention, and the book title can get you to learn to read it. Yes, that might be one. So think about your students. What is the purpose of learning? You need to give them a purpose of learning. Not only telling them that English is important because globalization and all the stuff that they have heard all the time. Give them a purpose. That no matter they live in a non-English speaking country, they can one day face a situation where they can help one tourist, for example, or imagine, because many people have relatives in English speaking countries, right? Apparently they might have relatives and they say, okay, imagine one cousin of yours from the United States and from Australia, from London, comes here and wants to start a conversation with you. So what do you say? Or just to tell them that speaking another language activates more your neurons. You know that? Yes, your brain works more than people who don't speak other languages. But okay, it's a good advantage of that, no? That is physical advantage and some other reasons that they might. You can get, knowing your students, you can get the reasons, give them purpose to learn. So also rewards are nice, praise also, but we need to know that as teachers, we already know that praise and reward are better motivators than punishment. Better motivators than punishment, of course. But if you celebrate students who engage responsibly with online learning, their peers will follow. And they can say, well, I would like to be rewarded as well. I want to be congratulated for my outcomes in everyday classes. Yes, very good. That's good. That's good on you. And it can be contagiated to other students. And the strategies for praising and rewarding online, I can mention that you create a virtual reward chart or goal star system. Virtual reward chart or goal star system. Yes, you have to keep track on their outcomes. Well, the exercises that they fulfill in a very good way, in a very successful way, they can have a check on the chart. Yes. And you show them this chart, or you can make them have a chart so they can keep track on themselves doing this. Positive feedback messages that use fun videos, GIFs, and images. Feedback. That it's important to set up the difference between a feedback and a critic. Feedback are always positive. Have you heard that? There are no feedbacks negative, because that could be a criticism. What is the purpose of the feedback? To tell the people about what they were successful on, and to make some suggestions according to your point of view for them to have a better job. So you remember that the feedback is about your point of view. And you can start like, well, if I were you, I would have done something like this, or In my opinion, in this part of your lesson or in the exercise, for example, when your students have to say something about one exercise, how can you? First, you have the feedback that is very successful is the sandwich. I don't know if you have heard about the sandwich feedback. You start telling them, oh, it was a great job, very good, well done. Mhm. Then you have the suggestions, the recommendations in between, and you finish with the same words. Congratulations, it was a good job. Very good. That is the sandwich. So you have to invite them to eat that sandwich, to assimilate that sandwich. Yeah? Okay. You're getting hungry, right? Oh, sorry. All right. Let your virtual class out early. The timetable is more flexible than ever. Right. So the time is important. We know that we live in a country that probably we are accustomed to attending classes when we were in school, right? We were in the school, we were at university, not that early. The classes start at 7, so we used to go 7:05 or something because we came to another class probably. Or the same happens to teachers, no? Something like 5 minutes past the right hour and things like that. So we got accustomed to doing that. But we know that in other cultures that they're very very demanding on this. It's like English time. They say no English time. It sounds because you time it's how you show respect. It's punctuality. Punctuality is a show of respect to other people. It's like when you have a job interview. Some companies allowed you to be 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, some others, no. If they are transnational companies, what happens if you arrive 5 minutes late? Okay, I'm sorry, but it's not possible to interview now. You are late. That is important. And the same thing happens with a deadline. When you tell your students, okay, this homework is for tomorrow. This homework will be in 2 days. You need to get it back to me. But what happens and the students say, no, if they are in elementary school, the mother calls you, no? The mother, miss, or teacher, please, my son had this problem, the internet, whatever, and excuses. And what do you do in that case? Oh, miss, please, consideration. So you're bad if you don't say, okay, lady, dear lady, no problem. This time it's okay, but please try hard to have your child comply with the deadline. Hmm? Yes. So to work with students, sometimes we need to work with parents first, no? So we need to motivate them as well. Yeah. So um, Paint, this is a program, no, Microsoft Paint, to create simple badges for different student achievements. Interesting, because they are signs of progress. Interesting, you can use them for Paint. Now we have other that are more modern, right? Canva is one. How many of you know Canva? Or some others, no? They call it Draw or whatever softwares to create designs. Emailing parents now with the student congratulations. Interesting. You can work on that. If you are an elementary teacher, even in high school teacher, it's good. You have the email of their parents, so congratulating the student that they are doing a good job. And not only you are going to congratulate your student because of good achievements, but at home as well. Oh, good, Pepito, very good. Your teacher has sent me an email that you are doing a good job. So keep on that. Interesting. And the motivation, oh, yes, mom. Yes, I will. I will. Yes, go ahead. Okay. A single positive comment lets a student know that their teacher is still invested in their learning. Invested and investing, no? In passive and active what you can use. So that is what we need to understand, that what we do with our students is invest our time to do our best. It's important. You are important. Your time is important. Your students' time is important. So you need to have all, and this is a best teaching practice to consider timing. Timing is important. Since you have your lesson plan, you have the timing. Do you write how many minutes you're going to take in this particular activity? Obviously, you can exceed seconds, or probably you don't fulfill the whole time that you program on the paper, because the reality in the classroom might be different, but not that different. If you have this material, this tool, it's not going to be with lack of interest, because something that is not planned can have lack of interest by the person who is putting the plan into practice. And if the person who is putting the plan into practice, the person who is involved in the plan is going to be less interested than you are. This is very important to know. And meaningful feedback. All right, let's see. Any classroom teacher will know the motivating power of timely and truthful feedback. Yes, that is important. The power. So you need to understand that you need, whatever you do needs to be powerful. Something that is powerful is lots of energy. Something that is powerful is memorable. And something that is memorable is never forgotten. How many of you remember something in the elementary school, the time you were in elementary school, a teacher told you, no matter it was English teacher or whatever teacher, a phrase that a teacher told you, or something that the teacher did in the time that you still remember? There are memories. Also, there are things that are memorable, but not necessarily positive, no? Yes. Probably I remember that once one of my elementary school teachers said a bad word and shouted. He shouted a bad word in the class. And most of us started laughing. We burst into laugh, but the teacher was really serious. Huh? He didn't like us to laugh or whatever. Okay, it was a mistake for him. So that is something memorable. I still remember, but in that case, it's negative. So something memorable is not only positive all the time, but we need to have it positive all the time as teachers. So they need to remember our class more than us because of what we made them feel. Remember? You know that people forget what you say, but people do not forget what you make them feel. And we need to work on emotions. And the good news is that it's even easier to deliver quality feedback online. Really, what do you think it's easier to deliver quality feedback online? In online, well, okay, listen. The feedback, which is okay, the feedback is good. As I told you before, no feedback is negative. So you can do it to the whole group or individually, but you can give feedback to one student in front of others because that's not negative, as I said before. And he will get that idea that he needs also to accept recommendations, pieces of advice. But it's not how, it's not what you say, it's how you say the things. Then you have the advantage of what? More time to compose thoughtful and detailed feedback in writing. Yes. The feedback is not only oral, but you can send them writing feedback as in their emails, no? The ability to communicate, so that is the advantage. The ability to communicate privately with individual students also is good, privately. In some meetings, Zoom meetings with a student, probably 5 minutes, or when the class ends, you start like a couple of minutes with somebody. Yeah, would be a good way to do it. In order to get to know your students thoroughly, probably, which is kind of impossible, no? To know a student thoroughly, deeply. Well, to know the most of it, to know the things that may affect their learning as well. Something which is external in their context, in their surroundings. For example, probably they don't have a good place where they can be with you. Probably they are uncomfortable in that room where there is some noise around or things like that. All right. Images and videos to support your comments and explanations are also, it's like a good backup. Some images and videos as well to do this. And if you are using text to deliver your feedback, make sure that you keep the tone warm and personable. This is important, the way you address to your students. I'm going to ask you a question. I think most of you are going to answer this using the chat box. Please use the chat box. The question is, do you know your voice? Do you know how people listen to you? It means the voice that people listen to you. All right, let me see if I can see your, sorry. Yeah, the one that, okay. You are interacting. Yes, yes. Okay, people say yes. Okay, thank you. You don't listen. All right. Well, I'm asking you because not many people, even teachers, because I have asked this question to many people, they don't know how people listen to their voices because they don't know how they are really heard by people. It means how you are really heard. You have to record your voice. Use your cell phone. Say something. Record your voice. Say a phrase. Say whatever, but record your voice. And that is the voice that people listened from you. Do you know that? And that is something that you need to, what I do with my students is since the very beginning, I tell them to do this because that gives you confidence. If you are aware of how people listen to you, you are confident that the sounds that you are producing through a good articulation, a good pitch of voice, is the same sound that they are listening to you. Even I tell them from the very beginning, lesson 1, English 1, say good morning, record your voice saying good morning. And you will be confident enough that you are greeting at people in the right way, no matter if you are in Peru or you are in the United States or any other English speaking country. You will say good morning. Beyond the pronunciation, that if because there is it is still a question. No? How about the pronunciation? You have to be near native, not near native, but you have to be the sounds of the English language. Because please type in the chat if you agree with me of this principle. No sounds, listen to me, no sounds from English or Spanish are equal. No sounds are equal. There are similar, very similar sounds, but not equal, not identical. Do you agree with that? So to speak English, for example, is to produce different sounds that you haven't ever produced before. And you have the tendency to produce in Spanish sounds. You give the Spanish sounds. It's okay. But you can't produce the English sounds with lots of effort, lots of practice, whatever, right? Because it's more difficult to get rid of a sound that you have already been accustomed to saying or to produce them than to start learning from the very beginning with the real sounds. And that make people be confident enough to communicate. Because communication issues, they are not only a hard thing to get in a foreign language. Communication issues are present in our mother tongues. Not everybody have assertive communication. Because to be assertive communicator, you need to know, to have some techniques. I'm going to share, this is not part of this talk, but I just want to share with you one pillar of assertive communication is articulation. No matter the language you speak, articulate the sounds in a good way. In Japan, they say that every single word has a sound. And they respect every sound of the words. They respect the words. So when they talk, they don't mispronounce any words, even in the real language or in the mother tongue. I don't know, but sometimes you might hear people saying words that are cut, words that are, well, mispronounced, or there are different things. But if you know articulation and you put it into practice in the right way, there is one pillar. There are others, but we are going to share it later or in another workshop. Or in a workshop, really, because this is not a workshop. This is a talk. Anyway, use the student's name and first person statements to show that you are thoughtfully engaging with their work. Example, I'm really impressed with what you have done here. Important is the way you say, I'm really impressed the way you have done here. Oh, that's what's good. Oh, I'm astonished to that result. And your students will be, he's going to turn immediately. He's going to immediately turn on his camera and say, smile. You are working on their attitudes. You don't want to get a smile from your students. But to get a smile from your students, first, you need to smile. Hmm? Because the students have to see and do the reflection of what you do. The motivation starts by the teacher. You have to deliver this message. I am here with you because I am motivated. I am not forced to be here and to give a class. This is my passion. I am highly motivated to be with you and to make you learn. That is the message that the students have to get. Unconsciously. Unconsciously. You don't have to tell them every day, no, it's boring, okay? They need to get that message unconsciously, like in telepathy. Interesting, huh? You like telepathy? Okay, anyway. Another talk about telepathy. Right. Then work with parents to motivate students at home. I said before, parents are your Elliot's. Parents are your aliens. If you have a father or a mother as an enemy, forget. You are not going to get anything with that student. Because the first person who's going to talk, not in a good way about you, is going to be the father. During lunchtime, oh, that teacher. During dinner, no way. You cannot work like that. No, but I'm working with the students. No, the students is part of a family. Not only in the elementary school, not only in the high school, even in university. I work for universities. And I can tell you this, sometimes they are childish. And some of them have the tutoring of the parents very strong, very strongly. So imagine. Anyway, the and we have parents are uniquely placed to motivate their children at home, but you have to let them know how they can help. That's interesting. You have to let them know how they can help. Yes, because who's the expert? You are the expert, you are the teacher. The parents are not going to tell you how to do your job. They can have some ideas about Miss, I think that you have to work like this with my song because I know my song. Anyway, okay, you know your song, but I know how your song have to get that knowledge. And if it is language, put this in practice. Um, and some elementary teachers of English um, think that they are helping students learn by dictation. No, there is not a problem about dictation, but the problem is when you work with the parents. You give a list of words, and next to that word, you write like a near pronunciation. Um, a near pronunciation. Example. For example, if you have a word like table, right? table. Yeah, you know that word. This is spelling bee. Spelling bee. All right. And next to it, you put in parentheses or in brackets, you put Teibol, and you write a message on the journal. Please, mother or father, help your child get ready for the dictation. No. Okay. The mother, what is going to do? The mother, she's going to read like, okay, repite, table, repite, table. Yeah. And the song, and the girl, table. Yeah, that's right. The teacher in the classroom says table. Table. Table is similar to table, completely different, right? So what you are doing is telling the student and telling the father that the one that you put in parentheses is the pronunciation. And the father is going to get to you to complain. Teacher, you tell me to help my student, my child, with this pronunciation. What do you think of that? It's not a good procedure. No? That is not a good procedure. So in that way, parents cannot help you. Then communicate with parents directly so they are aware of exactly what work their child should be doing at home. Yes, that is good. Instructions. They have to write a paragraph or they have to do some activities that that you give your students to do at home, and you can explain also to the parents, okay, they have to be a paragraph, they have to draw, whatever you want them to be helpful with you. Workspace or resource requirements for their child's home learning. Workspace or resource requirements for their child's home learning. Yes, it's important because they are at home now, no? Remote classes. And due dates for assignments so that they can provide reminders when necessary. It is important to have the deadlines so the parents can be aware of the deadlines as well and remind their children about them. Simple activities that they can do to support home learning on a day-to-day basis. Yes, support home learning is important to keep your students motivated, to keep your students eager to participate. And any signs that their child is disengaging or needing assistance in a particular area. Yes, okay. They can tell you, yeah, miss, I need, or teacher, I think my child has problems with this part, please, or whatever. And remember, while parents can play a vital role in keeping students motivated, keep your expectations realistic. That is important. Expectations realistic. Now, better teaching practices is because you stay connected as a class and motivate each other. With this, you can get good results. Without a company of friends and a classroom bus for break or change of hours, it's easy for distant learners to feel isolated. Probably they might feel isolated. This might lead to a loss of motivation. Yes. So you have to make them feel they are not alone. They are with you. They are with their peers. Build a sense of community in your online learning environment to combat this isolation. Yes, interesting. A sense of community, part of a team, part of a group. And the strategies to do this is coordinate online group activities. Interesting. Online group activities, and take the time to chat off topic, discuss how everyone is keeping busy and staying healthy at home. Sure, you can talk about the measures they do, the in health to prevent, how they are taking care of themselves, of their family. Yes. Make your communication personal. Use names and keep the tone warm and engaging. Yes. As I said before, you need to know your voice and you need to know how your students listen to you. And you can work on your voice and you can keep the tone warm and engaging. And the strategies, for example, we continue with half a weekly virtual show until where students can share their aspects of their home lives and activity. Virtual show, kind of fun competition. Follow up formative assessments with an online peer review. Yes, formative assessment is important during the process. Post a brief. Welcome to class video daily. Yeah, look at that. Very interesting. Welcome to class video daily, but not the same probably. You can change the welcome to class video daily, where you grade students and explain the day's learning objective. Interesting. You explain the learning objective, or you say, well, today we are going to get this as an objective, as the main objective. Schedule video lessons via Skype, or is now Zoom, to bring back the liveliness of a regular classroom environment. Yes, well, some extra, like extra activities, if you have the time, you can help them, especially for the ones that are slow learners. I think it could work in a very good way. How can you make sure that you keep learners, particularly groups of learners, engaged and give them plenty of opportunity to practice English? That is the point, to give them plenty of opportunity to practice English. And I can tell you that what I feel that teaching online seems like a really attractive option for many teachers. Unfortunately, teachers find that when they get into the virtual classroom, things don't always go as well as they expected. How to counteract that? And it's sad when we have death to learner engagement. What is this? One of the most common media for providing materials for online classes is via a powerful presentation. They're easy to create and can be uploaded to most online platforms. But you probably have heard the expression death by PowerPoint, and it's particularly apt for language teaching in the way that once teachers have uploaded their presentation to the class, there is an enormous temptation to simply run through the presentation from start to finish with little regard for whether students want or need. Yes, for example, when you pass the slides, and you don't stop for a while in one to ask them to have active participation from them, not like they are just viewers or listeners. They actively participate, and you take them to that PowerPoint slide, and you take them or you make them be part of it, because that was the purpose of the creation of that slide in PowerPoint, to be worked in class and to use in class, but as a tool to engage your students by images, pictures, or some interactive things that might draw their attention and help you save some time in explaining most of the things that you can give them in visual aids. Then, if your learners have their camera on, which is not always possible due to the bandwidth needed to run video conferencing software, it can be really difficult to know why your learners aren't saying much. Yes, it might happen. And you say, maybe they don't understand what you are saying, or are confused, or maybe they think it's too easy, so they're bored and checking their emails. Yeah, it might happen that they have or probably the online game they are playing, listening to your class and open another window with the game. Maybe they've temporarily lost their Wi-Fi connection. Yes, and technical problem. Whatever the reason, as teachers, talk more to fill the silence. To fill the silence. Classes become less and less learner-centered. Yes. So we need to have classes, learner-centered classes. As they have little control over the content or pace of the class, students switch off and can be easily distracted by anything else that's going on around them. This is what we have to struggle if they become demotivated. It's something that we need to work hard all the time. And maximizing how we do this, maximizing online interaction. And I can mention that in a virtual classroom, unless you're lucky enough to have breakout rooms, you can only have one person talking at any one time without things getting pretty messy. I think you have breakout rooms. So the more you use breakout rooms in group teamwork, interesting. The standard pattern of communication therefore ends up being teacher asks a question to student A, student A responds, teacher asks a question to student B, etc., with little interaction going on between the students. Yeah. There are some activities that are always repeated all the time from generation to generations. No? Okay, what can teachers do to maximize interaction? In order to get groups of students talking and interacting in your virtual classroom, you might therefore to need to work a bit harder. But the good news is that video conferencing platforms usually have some really great tools you can use. Is some ideas, just some ideas. For example, accept polls and quiz questions. All right, just set polls and quiz questions, which is important for a video conferencing classroom. You know about the polls, yes, quiz questions, interesting to draw their attentions. Another thing, we can use the chat box also as a tool to interact. No, the chat function can be a fantastic tool for teachers in online classrooms. Then write on the board. Write on the board. There are interactive boards. You know about interactive boards? Yeah, sure. So you have to use it. The best practice you can use with them. There are very nice interactive boards to use. And they can even use the board that you're presenting online. They can participate in those boards that you have the control as well. Then use the record function. Record function. Interesting to check, right? So set up short speaking activities and record your learners. And they are going to listen to that, and they will see and will listen to the real voice that you heard. Create that information gap. Oh, information gap is about what? Probably about you. So make sure that your activities really are creating some kind of need to communicate between students. Sounds like it's important. But the clearer you are about this, the more interaction you will generate. Information gap and your learners, what you need to have with your learners is a valuable resource. Yes, they are valuable resource, your learners. So you need to see them as the results that they have a student, your student have ideas, has good creative ideas or participations in order to go on the way they would like to learn. And plan your interaction patterns. It's important. Interaction patterns, like it might be round robin, or you might want to specify tasks, so different tasks to have this. This is interesting, but what is the best teaching practice? The best teaching practice, in my point of view, is to get engagement first. And you get engagement through what? Through interest, motivation. Because if you don't create this atmosphere, no matter what you do, what activity that you might think that is great, it's marvelous, they won't feel that way. because they feel demotivated. How can we increase this engagement? There are some activities, for example, for speaking practices with tech talks. Well, it depends on the level of your students in English. We are talking about English classes. Tech talks. But you know that in order to give a talk, you need some strategies, some techniques. Sometimes teachers tell the students, okay, for next class, you are going to talk about your last vacation. Talk. But you don't give them the tools to give a talk, because that is a talk. And that is speech. You have to prepare your students first how to give a speech, because they are going to give a speech. They're going to deliver a speech with their cameras on. They're going to feel nervous. You need to have an entire class to tell them how to do it, to give them the tools, to give them the strategies to do this. They need to know that the speech has three parts. Three parts. One is the beginning of the speech. The second is the content or the body. And the last one is the closing. They need to work on these three very well. For example, do you know that the first 5 seconds are really important to draw the attention of your audience? Because they become public speakers. If you tell them that they have to give a speech about their vacation, about whatever, they become public speakers because they are speaking openly to an audience. So you need to say, okay, the thing is that you need to start drawing the attention of your audience. So what is the one technique only to draw the attention? You can start by a question. Have you ever felt that our country is not going to become a powerful country in the world? And why? Whatever you deliver. So then the closing have to be impact as well, the closing. And another way to close is to repeat the title of your speech. There are other strategies. But if you don't give them the tools to your students, how can you evaluate their speech's delivery? And you have to give them the first thing that I told you before, articulation, to respect every single sound of the word. And that could be. And then we'll give them the necessary interest to be motivated to do the things that you want them to do. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. For any other activities that you can plan in your lesson plan and put into practice in your lesson, if you don't have that connection, it's useless, it's worthless. No matter if you spend all night long preparing your lesson plan, but you don't have that rapport, forget it. It won't work. I just want to tell you that I hope this talk is fruitful to you, because I have used of your time this afternoon. But I'm still happy and I'm still motivated to be here. As I started my participation today, I want to say thank you and say, hey, the energy always flows. Woo! The energy always flows from the beginning. From the beginning to the end. Don't turn it off. Thank you very much. I'm here for some questions, recommendations, or critics instead of feedbacks. Thank you.
Ruben, thank you very much for your presentation. It was fruitful, believe us. And I think we learn every day. And your points were very, very clear. So thanks a lot, teachers. If you want to share any idea, so they are writing, no? You give me good ideas. They are writing. Excellent presentation. Okay. So I think we have learned. Thanks, Mr. Ruben.
My
Thanks for your
pleasure.
advice. And some people, I leave in 5 minutes. I have a class to teach. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Ruben. Wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot, Ruben. So teachers are working, are studying, but they are here learning.
Oh,
Greeting
yes.
from Santo Domingo, Ecuador, Jose Luis Barberán. Amigos, thank you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Ruben. Good evening, everybody. Just arriving from work and joining in Mr. Torres from, I'm Mr. Torres from the Dominican Republic, Moca City. Thank you, Mr. Torres, Erasmo. Okay, great presentation, Coraima. Yes, the
Very good.
tips were so clear. Okay, we are recording the presentation.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because we are gonna pass through Facebook or to teachers' emails or WhatsApps, you know. So any teacher can make a comment. You are free to do it. Oh, they are still writing. Excellent webinar. Thanks. Excellent. Congratulations, teacher. Thanks a lot, Mr.
Someone can open, I think they have the mics off.
Thank you very, very much.
Probably someone can raise his or her hand, and Zoom Master can activate the mic.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Ruben, is it possible to prepare a course of leadership for teachers? You know, we need that.
Oh yeah, remember that we were talking about that, and I gave you a title of the workshop for assertive communication is, yeah.
Yeah, so
yes.
Teachers are demanding that.
Oh, right.
And I think it's a good point.
Yes, I will be glad to help in this way, because that's the way I learned.
Yes. Oh, more awesome webinar. Thanks, Mr. Ruben. More comments. Okay. Are you going to send Ruben the PPTs? Because you know the.
Oh, why not? Yes, sure. I can do it.
I think they are so clear. The tips are so clear. Maybe we can share with the teachers.
Yeah, I will save it in PDF, and I send it to you. Yeah.
Okay. So dear teachers, any comment? They are just writing. Okay, great topic. Go ahead helping us with more workshops like this, Mr. Erasmo. Okay.
Yes, and the workshop that we are going to give is going to be full activate. I mean, this is a talk. Today was a talk, but the next is going to be a workshop full of activities in breakout rooms, in all all the things that you.
Okay,
Yes.
teachers. So we are gonna organize that and plan.
Sure.
Great topic. Go ahead, helping us with more webinars. Okay,
Oh,
so they
webinars.
want more. That's great.
Yeah.
Teachers of English love learning, you know.
Yeah, sure. We
I
do. We do.
think statistically speaking,
Mhm.
teachers of English are having a lot of trainings,
Oh, yes.
and they are
Thanks,
there
thanks
all
to
the time.
Natel.
They're
Thanks to
ready to
Natel.
learn, ready to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks again, dear Ruben, dear teachers. This presentation has finished, and remember, at 8 o'clock, we have an invitation from Miss Clau Rivera. Our dearest Miss Celia Cava will present at 8 o'clock. You are invited. I sent you the link and participate. It will be it will cover the topic about technology. And tomorrow, Mr. Jaco Igachi from he's right now in the USA or Ecuador. I am not sure about that. He will be with us at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. We will send the link by tomorrow. Okay? So thanks again, Ruben. Thanks again. You have a big heart, as Gabby mentioned
Oh.
all the time.
Yeah.
Okay?
My
Thank
pleasure.
you very much. So tomorrow at 8
Okay.
o'clock with Miss Clau Rivera and tomorrow with
Sure.
Miss
Tonight
Trigachi.
with me. Exactly.
Monday at 8 o'clock with Miss Clau Rivera. Friday with Olenka Villavicencio and Glenda Custodio. Saturday with Enrique Liñán and Marisa Guacho, and also Mr. Skip Gold from the USA. Then the other week, we will be with Jorge Garavito, Hinelias from Saudi Arabia, Ruben for Andres from Ecuador, okay?
Andres
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
Andres Rodriguez, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks again. And let's see at 8 o'clock, Ruben, a
Yeah.
big hug and thanks from the bottom of our hearts. Thanks a lot, dear teachers. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Turn on your cameras and say goodbye. As you asked
Goodbye,
children to
bye-bye.
do.
Okay.